Yo, welcome to the channel. Today we have a Mezco Ascending Knight Batman blue variant, and today we're going to look over it. So this is the second Ascending Knight I've owned. I used to own the all black one. I still have its accessories, but I traded it for a classic Two-Face. But this Batman I think fills in that spot pretty well, while being a unique spot in the collection. So we'll start off with the sculpt. This is based on an early Batman. This is meant to be like a year 2, judging by the Bruce Wayne head sculpt and obviously the look. The longer ears look more like the classic suit, as long as, you know, the bigger belt and the smaller bat symbol. But I do think it is still a really nice sculpt. Looking closer at the Batman head, you can see it has the classic Batman frown, all white eyes, and then the really long ears. These are hard plastic, so be careful about breaking them or pricking yourself on them. The rest of the suit is pretty basic. I mean, it's just a gray Batman. You can see he has like this weird sort of texture on it. I'll be honest, I kind of do wish more of the suit was just this material in the middle. I don't really like these weird details of like cloth poking through. It looks like he's wearing like fishnets, but I mean, it is what it is. If we look at the boots, you can see these are like high laced boots. It does hinder articulation a little bit because of the sculpt, but we'll cover that later. These gauntlets only have 2 spikes on them, so that's to show that this is year 2. The hands are nicely sculpted with some knuckle padding. The cape did come a bit tattered, but it's because this figure was just kept in its box with a really ragged cape. But the cape still is really long. You can see it folds over to give him a clean silhouette, but it can spread out to give him a gliding look. Now this isn't wired at all. It's meant to be just a draping cape, and it does come with something to help with the wiring, or posing, excuse me. We'll take a look at the articulation, then move on to the accessories. The head sculpt is on a ball peg at the top of the neck. Because of the cowl, there's no neck movement, but there is head movement. He can look up decently far. He can look down. You can look side to side, and he can tilt. The arms, because there's no hindrance of a shoulder pad or anything, do move up pretty far. They move up that far. They move forward pretty far. They can almost go all the way around. They move back. There is a little butterfly joint that does shimmy a little bit. He has bicep swivel, double joints that bend in pretty far, and he has the usual 1/12 wrist peg. This gauntlet piece can also move just in case you want it to be farther back or farther out. The torso is a bit limited, but because of the sculpt, but it should still offer good movement. He bends forward pretty good at the top. He bends back pretty far. He does have lean, and he does turn side to side. The belt also can move up, so if you want a really high belt look, there's that, or you can have it more down here. Now the legs the legs aren't limited at all, but because of this material here, you might want to be careful because of creasing. But the legs do move forward. They move back. He has thigh swivel. He has double joints that bend in far. And there's no boot swivel or anything like that, so the ankle is going to do all the work. It can move down, it can move up. Let me do the down movement. It can move up. He has some pivot, and obviously the boots move side to side. So while being a bit limited compared to a Mafex, I think the movement is still there. And as you can see, he stands nicely. If you want to give him a silhouette look, you can fold the cape out. It does look really cool. I do like this really shiny blue cape. While it is a bit bright in my lighting, I still think it does a good job of looking intimidating. So there's that. Let's get him in a quick pose real quick. There's Batman looking intimidating while looking sick. He's leaning backwards. There we go. You can see he poses really well. Taking a look at the accessories, we'll take a look at the hands first. He has these splayed out open hands for, you know, action, throwing, battering, stuff like that. These do look pretty nice. He has these 2 gripping hands for gripping anything from batterings to the grapple launcher. Nicely detailed and sculpted. And he has a dedicated right trigger finger for the grapple launcher, or a little dart gun that he has. I'll show that in a minute. He does have a young Bruce Wayne head sculpt. You can see on the Sovereign Knight there are some gray hairs, but this one doesn't have anything like that. The sculpt is a bit soft. The paint apps are really soft. This kind of looks almost cartoony. It looks like squishy plastic, but it's not. He does have his grapple gun. Does look really nice. He has 3 different hooks for this one. He has a closed hook that just pegs on like So there's grooves you're meant to follow. There we go. Pegs on like that to give it a closed look. He has this open launcher look, like it's about ready to fire. And then he has this one that has a wire attached to it, but I'm not going to unravel it for the fear of never being able to ravel it tightly again. So there's that. The gun does fit on his back as well. See that slot right there? You just slide in the gun like this. And then there you go. It's stored on his back. There we go. He does have the bat brick, which I think is meant to be like a technology like iPad. But I always have a joke that he just uses this to, you know, crack criminals over the head with. It's a giant bat brick. This doesn't have anywhere to store, but I'm guessing you can just kind of, it would just be here. But yeah, I mean, that's an interesting accessory for sure. He has this little dart launcher that does fit into the trigger hand, I think. Here's what I was confused about, because on the trigger hand, it fits almost a bit loose. Like, it doesn't fit at a correct angle, but I mean, I guess that's how you're supposed to have it. Because on these other hands, it doesn't fit in long enough. Like, here, it's too far out. So, I mean, there's that. It also comes with 10 of these tiny, tiny batarangs. It's absolutely small. You can barely see it, but I mean, there's some sculpted detail. There's a lot of those. I'll just show a little pile right there. There's about like 10 of them. So there's that. Like I was saying about his cape, due to there not being any wires, Mezco included these weird cape clamps that you attach to this thing, attach it to the base, and then you just plug these in, and then you just clamp it out. It is a really convoluted like posing mechanism. Now, I don't think this was the best idea, because there's just like, you get 2 long ones and then 3 short ones. It's too much. It's too much of a hassle. So that's why I'm glad they're giving characters wired capes now. It makes things so much easier. Now, let me try to connect this. It's just a little like clamp that just slides over the top of this. And then you attach it. And now you have that mess figured out. I'm just gonna leave it on. So we'll move on to size comparisons now. Just let me straighten them up. So there he is, nice and straight. We'll compare him to a Mezco 112 Robin. Ignore the effect I had imposed. So there's a Mezco 112 Robin. It's a little out of frame. And here he is compared to the Mezco, the Batman that I own. So you can see this Batman is pretty good. He's well sized. He's not too long. He's not too tall. He's not too short. I think he really does match. And this figure has a wired cape, which, you know, makes posing so much easier. So if they just gave this Batman a wired cape, 10 out of 10 figure. So there's that. He is compared to a Mezco Two-Face. This is what I traded the original Ascending Knight for. And then here he is compared to a Mezco Mr. Freeze. You can see they look good together. I like the contrasting blues and colors. Definitely not a bad matchup. This could work as a display. We'll compare him to an SHF Spider-Man. Unfortunately, my Mafex Batman is posed up, and I really don't want to ruin it. But I'm guessing he'd be probably taller, around the same size. So there he is compared to an SHF Spider-Man. Here he is compared to a Mezco-style John Wick. He is on a Marvel Legend body, so, I mean, there's your proportions for that. But yeah, I think this Batman is actually pretty well sized. He's not too tall, he's not too short. You know, he's the right amount of build. He's not like super bulky like the Dark Knight Returns. But yeah, this is a really good figure. If you can find him for cheap, I recommend getting him. The possibilities on customs for this is amazing, especially if you remove this cape. This cape still does look cool. I just really would prefer if you had a wired cape. But yeah, I mean, this figure still is a good purchase, even in the grand year of 2024. And this is the Ascending Knight. I think the Sovereign Knight has a better shade of blue, but I mean, that's neither here nor there. Hope you enjoyed the review. We're close to 200 subs, so thank you for the support. But stay safe, God bless, and goodbye.